Hello, everyone. I think we're started. I didn't see a go live thing kick in, but we'll see if we're streaming. Take about a minute or so for YouTube to catch up. Oh, there we go. Let me mute that. Hello, everyone. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Steve Board Gamers. My name is Dave. And yesterday, kind of got a surprise. I didn't expect it on Wednesday. I thought it'd be today. We got the new 1.7 rules update for Marvel Champions, and it talks about the a beta version, at least, of the new environments. So first we'll go over the article, and then we'll go over the changes to the rules. And if you're not familiar with rules reference updates, what they do is it's a update of the big rule book, the orange covered one that you got from your core set, and then in red they will show the rules that's changed from version 1.6. Now, sometimes it's a minor thing, like maybe they just added a word or two, and then sometimes it's a complete revamp on a rule. But we'll get to the rules itself once we go through the article. And I'm doing this by myself, so if anyone pops on, please comment and we can chat along. All right. Let's try again. Championing new rules. Presenting the Marvel Champions, a card game rules reference version 1.7. Greetings, heroes. The Marvel Champions, the card game rules team is pleased to present to you version 1.7 of our online rules reference. This update is intended to document new rules that have been introduced to the game since our last update, address some areas of rules that were not addressed previously, and add clarity in some areas that were previously unclear. All of these updates are intended to make your games of Marvel Champions play as smoothly as possible. Today, we would like to discuss some of the more important changes to this update so that you know what those changes are and why they were made. Okay. So we got defining the environments. Earlier this year, we announced that a new concept of game environments was coming to our living card games. In brief, before you begin a game of Marvel Champions, you can choose a game environment in which to play. Your chosen game environments determine what heroes and player cards you are allowed to use during that game. This update provides us with an opportunity to share with you more specifics about what these game environments look like. We are establishing 3 game environments. Oh, interesting. I thought there was only going to be 2. The current environment, the legacy environment, and the limited environment. Here's a description of each, along with examples of what type of player each might appeal to. Okay, so first we got the current environment, aka I'm new to the game, or I want to play only with what's new. When playing in this environment, players can only use hero and player cards from the core set and the most recently released Marvel Champions products. As of this update, this includes the following expansions and their associated hero packs. So we got Age of Apocalypse, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Civil War. So these are the last 3 waves. So this would be wave 8, 9, and the Civil War wave. With each update to the rules reference, this current environment will shift to include only the most recent product. Oh, so we're going to get more updates more often, I guess. Playing with the current environment is the easiest way for a new player or a group of players to get into the game. For longtime players, playing in the current environment presents an opportunity for them to test their creativity and skill by limiting the available player card pool. Veteran players will have to seek out alternatives to their most frequently used cards and experiment with cards that they may not have tried previously. So this could affect a lot of those super powerful decks where you've got a critical card. So yeah, like build support to bring the iPack in. Since the iPack came out in Next Evolution, that would not be available, for example. But build support is available because it came in the Agents of Shield wave, I believe, a reprint. So that's the thing that I gotta watch for is when they reprint cards. So that's kind of nice. Some of those cards could pop back up. Legacy environment. I want to play with my whole collection, or I don't want to change how I play the game. If you just want to keep playing the game as you always play it, the legacy environment is for you. In this environment, your player card pool includes every hero and player card you own. If you enjoy limitless options and want to build the strongest, most optimized deck possible, or just play the way you've always played, you can do so with the legacy environment. All right. And then we have limited environment, or I want to mix and match current and legacy, or I want to challenge myself with a different approach. If the idea of the current environment intrigues you, but you want to come up with your own subset of Marvel Champion products from which to customize your decks, the limited environment is for you. This highly flexible environment gives you the opportunity to get really creative by choosing the products you want to limit yourself to. Just pick up to 3 expansion boxes and up to 10 hero packs to serve as your card pool. Okay. Interesting. So this is where you can kind of come up with some customized, like organized play, like Con of Heroes or something. They might say, okay, our campaign is with these ideas involved and with these products in mind. So build your decks with only cards from, Sinister Motive, Galaxy's Most Wanted, and, Civil War or something, and then you can limit that. For greater challenges and theme, try playing only with contents of 3 waves of products. Do you love mutants? Go with Mutant Genesis, Next Evolution, and Age of Apocalypse waves. Are Avengers more your speed? Pick the core set wave of hero packs, the Rise of the Red Skull, and the Mad Titan Shadow. The possible combinations are immense. All right, so we got some Q&A here. Environments Q&A. We have received many questions from the community since we originally announced game environments, so we wanted to address the most common ones here. Does the introduction of these new game environments mean I can't use older content expansions anymore? Not at all. While we will continue to design new contents for the game primarily with the current environment in mind, everything will always be compatible with what came before. And we encourage you to play with whatever brings you joy. Only limit yourself to what's in the current environment if you want to. Okay, so this is very similar to what they mentioned for Arkham Horror. They're going to design with just the current environment, but you can still always use your old stuff. Will FFG, a later expansion, ever require me to play using the current environment? Nope. Every expansion we release will be compatible with each of the environments detailed above. If you want to use cards from every era of the game, play Legacy. If you only want to use the newest cards, play Current. Or if you want a mix of the two, try Limited. Will current environment content always be compatible with Legacy environment content? Absolutely. Just like always, older content for the game will still be compatible with the newer content and vice versa. There's nothing stopping you from mixing and matching as you see fit. In fact, we encourage it. Does my chosen game environment limit which scenarios or modular sets I can use? Nope. Game environment limits only your card pool when it comes to your player deck. You are free to play any scenario along with any modular set regardless of your chosen environment. Uniqueness. Defining which cards represent the same character has been a challenge for this game because of all the different ways individuals in the Marvel Universe are addressed. Some monikers are shared by multiple people, while some people have had different monikers at different times. And that's without even getting into all the multiversal hijinks. The previous rules were able to define uniqueness in a way that worked for the game early in its lifetime. But as we added more versions of the same characters to the game over time, those rules got more and more complex. With the release of Civil War, which introduced many more heroes as encounter cards, we decided to give the uniqueness rule a major overhaul and attempt to simplify them. No rule set can perfectly ensure that the same character can't show up in multiple places while allowing every group of character who shares a moniker to show up together. but we feel that these new rules strike a good balance between simplicity and storytelling. Oh, we got a comment. Welcome, Robert. I can't get these different environments. Wait. I can't get these different environments. It basically comes down to play how you want, which is the legacy environment. Yeah. So I think the idea for the current environment is, let's say you go to your an event at like your game store, and they'll say, okay, we've got a bunch of new players and new players of the game. So we are going to request that everybody just uses the current card pool so that everyone has access to the same cards. Because, with some of the legacy cards, you can really, you can come up with some really cool combos. And I would think that someone who with a limited card pool may feel a little overwhelmed or, feel bad that they can't pull the tricks that you can pull. That's kind of my thinking of it. Is sort of it's more of a meta thing than anything. But also, I think when they had their fireside chat back in February, I think it was, they were talking about that it's hard to balance things for the entire card pool. And so this gives the developers a little more relief on what they can do, what they can design, because they don't have to worry about some of these overpowered combos when they're designing, a new villain, say, for example. That's my interpretation of this. Unfortunately, this is as much communication that we've gotten from FFG in regards to it, but that is the impression that I get. All right. So I'm going to hope that answered your question there, Robert. All right. Let's continue with the article here. To determine if two cards match for the purpose of uniqueness, you compare them in one of two ways. If neither card is an identity and neither has a subtitle, you simply compare their titles to see if they match. For example, two copies of the Yarbjorn update match each other, as do the Jessica Jones ally and the Jessica Jones minion. Okay, so that makes sense, they match. If either card has a subtitle or is an identity, you compare its subtitle or alter ego title to the other card's title, subtitle, and alter ego title, if any. If any of the three are the same, those two are considered to match. Okay, so this brings up the Valkyrie ally and then the Valkyrie Broomhilda hero. I'm guessing since the Valkyrie ally does not have the subtitle, if any of the three are the same, those two, I'm kind of wondering if that means then that you cannot have that Valkyrie in your Valkyrie deck, which is the way I've always pictured, because it's the same picture of the hero. But you could have Spider-Man Miles in a Spider-Man Peter Parker deck, because the alter ego, well, you compare, subtitles, no, only the subtitle or alter ego. Okay, never mind. So no, Valkyrie asked, the Valkyrie ally does not have a subtitle. Oh, we got another comment. Oh, good take. Thank you. You're welcome, Robert. Okay. For example, the Black Panther identity card from the core set, the T'Challa ally from the Black Panther hero pack, and the Black Panther leadership ally from War Machine are all considered to match. Yeah, that makes sense. There is one matching situation where we choose to explicitly allow multiples of the same character to be played, and that's when comparing identities to villains. Because villains do not have subtitles or alter ego titles, they will not match up with an identity except in a few rare cases. Namely, those like Nebula and Vision, where the title of a villain or leader matches an alter ego. Since the rules allow you to play Captain America against Captain America or Magneto against Magneto, we decided that you may have Nebula fight Nebula and Vision fight Vision, leaving it to the players to decide whether they want to allow these matchups at their own table. Okay, that's pretty cool. Because originally you couldn't do quote unquote Nebula versus Nebula, but now they're saying you can, which is always fun. You know, you got the whole multiverse thing going. All right, quick note. The following updates are important enough to note, but do not require an in-depth explanation. Choose. We have simplified the rules about what is a valid option for choose effects on cards, especially encounter cards. Rather than requiring players to choose an option they can fully resolve or most fully resolve, which can be ambiguous in certain circumstances, players can now choose an option so long as that option has at least one valid target. Okay, that's kind of the way we've been playing it. So that's good to know. Ownership and control. The rules did not previously address certain situations where cards enter out-of-play areas under the control of someone other than their owner, such as the Cosmic Entity events cards from Mad Titan Shadows, or encounter cards in Mysterio's scenario from Sinister Motives. We have now enumerated the conditions under which a card will revert back to its owner control. In all other cases, control of the card remains constant. This means that Cosmic Entity cards that is resolved as a boost is discarded to the encounter discard pile, not its owner's discard pile. Okay, so that is a change, or at least the way we interpreted the original rules, which made those Cosmic Entities kind of worthless because when they showed up, you had a 50% chance that it would whiff. Now, it's either going to get its ability or it counts as a zero boost, which works as well. So I like that because those Cosmic Entities, I never played them because of the fact that you spin 2, shuffle in the encounter deck, and then it shows up as a boost and it goes right back into your deck. So that's kind of nice. All right. Referential ability. Our previous update to this section shut off some card interactions that were intended part of the design, such as Pyromaniac, searching for and revealing the Pyro Minion, when a card with the same name is also part of the same encounter set. To enable these interactions once more, we have removed the requirement that the name card belongs to the same encounter set and instead add a separate level of referential abilities that look only at encounter cards for encounter card abilities or player cards for player card abilities. Note that there is still a level for identity-specific cards, so you can't ready your Venom ally using your run and gun event. Okay, so that makes sense. Reveal. When we established a stepwise process for revealing encounter cards in order to clear up any timing questions related to the reveal process. Okay, errata. Most of the card errata in this update are technical in nature, made to keep cards functioning as intended under the current rules. Below are a handful of notable errata. Magneto's main scheme card. The order of resolution in the force response of the main scheme card created rules issues with the magnetic card being revealed, placed additional magnetic counts on the main scheme, triggering the ability again before the magnet counters from the first trigger would be removed. These effects now remove the magnet counters before revealing a magnetic card. Okay. Because I think it said remove 3. Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to look at the specifics, I guess. Oh, suit up. Okay. The previous wording of this card raised rules issues about how to determine whether an upgrade could attach to a particular ally. To avoid these rules, we have changed the card to fetch any upgrade that can be attached to any ally. Oh, okay. That's kind of nice. So you could grab an Avenger ally and a Guardian upgrade, and it doesn't matter. Mach 4. This minion's effects of not allowing characters without the aerial trait to defend his attacks was intended to include allies, but allies do not technically make basic defenses as they do not have a defense stat. Oh, okay. They're just... Yeah, well, I always assumed the allies had a defense of 0, so okay. Shield Deputy. Some copies of these cards are printed without the max 1 per character limit, which the card should have. Yes, okay. That makes sense. Those are the main changes we wanted to highlight in this update, but there may be others that may impact your understanding of the game. As always, if you have a rules question you can't figure out, you can send it to us through our rules contact form, and there's a link. Until next time, keep saving the world. Written by Tony. Okay, so I am obviously not going to read all of 1.7, but one nice thing is if you're new to these is they highlight in red and I got a physical printout here, the changes. So we're just going to go over these highlighted ones. So let's go to page 12. Oops, I went too far. Dang it, I did it again. Wow, I am really bad at this, apparently. What is choosing an option on a card? Oh, okay, let's... Oh, we can just do this. Okay. So choose is changed. So some abilities instruct a player to choose between multiple options. For example, choose either take 1 damage or discard 1 card from your hand. When an encounter card requires a player to choose an option, they cannot choose an option that requires 1 or more targets if there are no valid targets for that option. When a player card requires a player to choose an option, they cannot choose an option that cannot be at least partially resolved. This includes options that have a cost the players cannot pay, requires 1 or more targets, and there are no valid targets. Okay. Choose an... All right, they're just kind of saying targets, I guess. That doesn't seem to be that majorly different. Expanded definition of otherwise. Okay. Effects beginning with otherwise resolve only if the preceding effect was not resolved. An otherwise effect will resolve if 1 or more of the following are true of the preceding effect. It has a condition that is not true. For example, an ability reads, if you are in hero form, take 2 damage. Otherwise, place 2 threat on the main scheme. The otherwise portion resolves if the player is not in hero form. Okay, so this is really critical for Civil War when it says do something with the enemy team does X and you're playing PvE. There is no enemy team, so I'm sure that's what brought this up. Let's see. It has an effect that cannot at least partially resolve. For example, an ability reads discard 2 cards from your hand. Otherwise, exhaust your identity. The otherwise portion resolves if the player cannot discard at least 1 card from their hand. Okay. If 1 or more of the... Okay. So, yeah. So, some people thought, oh, I don't have 2 cards to discard, so I can do the otherwise. So, no, they're saying you would discard 1 card. Okay, that's the way we've always played it. If otherwise is preceded by a semicolon, the preceding effect refers to the effect before the semicolon in the same sentence. If the otherwise effect is its own sentence, the preceding effect refers to the sentence coming directly before the otherwise sentence. Okay. Again, I kind of feel that's the way we've been playing it, but all right. Obviously, it's come up. So we've got page 35, revised rules around referential abilities. There's something on ready here, too, it looks like. So, cards interplay in a ready state position so that their controller can read the text from left to right. If the player is instructed to ready an exhausted card, the card is returned to its ready state. If there's an additional cost for a player to ready a card, the player can choose not to pay the cost. If they do not pay the cost, the card is not ready. Okay, that makes sense. Referential abilities. Some abilities refer to specific cards by name. These are called referential abilities If an ability refers to a title shared by multiple cards in the game, that ability refers only to the card that matches the criteria highest in this list. So we've added a number 3 now, it looks like. So number 1, the card on which the referential ability is printed. Such an ability is a self-referential ability. For example, the basic ally Spider-Man's ability reads response. After Spider-Man attacks or thwarts, choose another Web Warrior character. Ready that character. This ability refers to the card it is printed on and does not trigger when another card called Spider-Man attacks or thwarts. Okay. We've seen that's from before. Cards that belong to the same identity. And now we got player cards if the ability is on a player card, or encounter cards if the ability is on an encounter card. All right. So they just added a step 3. Sometimes feels like you need an attorney. yeah, exactly. I was kind of thinking the same thing as I was printing this out this morning. It's like, yeah, it's getting into legalese here. All right, so that was page 35, page 37. All right, so now they've done a big overhaul on reveal. So during step 4 of the villain phase, each player, in player order, reveals and resolves all face-down encounter cards that have been dealt to them, one card at a time in the order in which they were dealt. To reveal an encounter card, follow these steps. So this is the new part here. Turn the encounter card face up, okay? If the encounter card type is an attachment, it interplays attached to the game element specified in its text. If it's an environment, it enters play in the villain's play area. Minion, it enters play in the play area of the player revealing it. It is considered to engage that player. Although there's a couple minions that's not going to be true, because it'll say, attached to the minion or the ally, the identity with hunted on it or something, or unregistered or whatever. So so that's kind of slightly been augmented. Obligation enters play in the play area of the player revealing it. If the card specifies a player to give it to, that player is considered to be revealing it. Yeah, so this is because we've got new obligations, like obviously we've had them from Kang, and we've got some new ones. But then if you reveal a player-specific one, then you give it to that player. So that's the same. They're just kind of spelling it out a little bit. Side schemes, it enters play in the villain play area. Treachery, place it on the table in front of the player, revealing it. Other, place it on the table in front of the player, revealing it. It is not in play. Resolve each when revealed ability on the card, including those provided by keywords. If the card is a treachery, discard it. If a player is instructed by the card text to reveal an encounter card from the encounter deck or any other game area, this same resolution procedures applies. Yeah, so I guess they're just kind of spelling it out more. I don't really think that's anything new, but obviously it's brought up some questions from people. So, all right. So 44 is revised uniqueness rules. So this has been completely overhauled, it looks like. The unique icon indicates a card that represents a singular person, place, or thing within the Marvel Universe. 2 unique cards are considered a match if any of the following apply. The 2 cards share a title, and both have no subtitles and no alter ego title. For example, 2 copies of the Yardboard upgrade or Jessica Jones ally and Jessica Jones minion. Okay, so I know why they specified it like that, because I know the Valkyrie aggression ally does not have a subtitle name, but even though it's the same, it looks like the same person on it on the art as the Valkyrie hero. So they are saying that you could put the Valkyrie aggression ally in a Valkyrie deck. The The subtitle or alter ego title of one matches the title, subtitle, or alter ego of the other. For example, the identity with the T'Challa alter ego, the T'Challa ally, and the Black Panther ally with the subtitle T'Challa are all considered a match. So yeah, that makes sense. They're just clarifying it. A player cannot include multiple matching cards in their deck. The identity is included in this evaluation. So again, you can't have the Black Panther leadership ally in a Black Panther T'Challa deck. When choosing identities during setup, players cannot choose identities that match. Okay, that's typical. Okay, that makes sense. The player may choose a scenario even if one or more villains match one or more chosen identities. So that's what they were talking about in the article. So you can have Nebula versus Nebula, Magneto versus Magneto if you want, which is kind of cool. A non-villain card in an out-of-play state that matches a card in play cannot interplay. If the out-of-play card is a player card, it cannot be played or put into play. Any effect that attempts to do so has no effect. Or a non-villain encounter card is discarded and any effects of it entering play are ignored. If it was being revealed, any effects of it being revealed are ignored, and players revealing it is dealt a face-down encounter card. All right. So this addresses the zero tolerance, the Sentinel scenario with where you have the Jubilee and one of the players is playing as Jubilee. You don't the Jubilee encounter card would not interplay, or the Jubilee ally. Although it does specifically say that you would discard any other copy. So, but if you're playing Wolverine and you had Jubilee ally out, because it does say discard any other Jubilee in play, but one of that means now, if you're playing Wolverine and you have the Jubilee ally out, then the new Jubilee, the one that's part of the scenario, does not come into play. That's kind of how it seems like they're saying. So that would override the text of the Jubilee, the encounter Jubilee allies card, which then, well, I don't know. Oh, this is encounter, because that does not count for the Nebula Nemesis set, because that is not an encounter card. That's coming, well, at least it's not an encounter card to start with. It's coming from your out of play area. I would think that Nebula would still discard the Nebula ally, because that's the whole intention. Otherwise, you can really negate the Nebula Nemesis set. So I can't imagine them doing that. Let's see. So next is 55 to 62. Oh, wow. That's a lot of pages. I may not read all this. 55 to 62. Oh, okay. So these are, okay. So this is not too bad. All right. So we got here ones for the once and future Kang scenario pack. While the players are split into separate game areas, whose game area are environment cards considered to be in? Ah, yeah, this is a question we had. Environment cards are considered to be in all player game areas. Okay, that makes sense. So if you're got one of the Mojo genres in a Kang scenario, then that card is considered in play for everybody. Okay, that was something we were wondering about. We got Battery Pack, which is from Rocket. Can Battery Pack move a charge counter to a tech card that does not use charge counters? Oh, interesting. Yes. The card that's an all-purpose counter is on defines the type of that counter. Oh, okay. So Battery Pack can move a counter to any tech card, and the counter will take on the type defined by that card, if any. Oh, interesting. So you can use Battery Pack for, like, to put more charges on the force field generator then. That's kind of fun. All right, Tower Defense. Oh, yeah, so this is the in-betweener, Living tribunal. Okay, so this is what we talked about before when we read the article. Where does the cosmic entity event go after it is resolved as a boost card? That event is placed in the encounter deck discard pile. So that's cool. I like that. So they don't whiff anymore. Sinister Motive Expansion Scenario 4, the Sinister 6. What happens if a villain needs to activate and there are one or more villains in play, but none of them have the active counter? Place the active counter on the villain with the lowest activation order value and continue that activation. Okay. I'm not sure how none of them would have the active counter. I'm not because when you defeat the villain, you move the active counter to the next one in succession. And if there are no villains, of course, then, you get a new one. I would think that the active counter should always be on a villain. But, all right, if for some reason the active counter is not on a villain, here's the rules to put it on to do it. I'm not sure how that could happen, but okay. Ironheart, Go for Champions. If I played Go for Champions this round, can I trigger an ability that requires taking damage as a cost? No. If you cannot take damage, you cannot pay the cost that requires you to take damage. That makes sense. Spider Hero Pack, Spider-Man Noir. If a Treachery's when revealed ability is canceled, can Spider-Man Noir attach the Treachery to himself? In order for Spider-Man Noir's response to trigger, some part of the Treachery must be resolved. If the Treachery card has a keyword on it that is resolved when the card is revealed, like Surge or Insight X, Spider-Man Noir can trigger his response to attach the card to himself. If no part of the Treachery card resolves, he cannot attach it. So yeah, so if it's one of those cancel the when revealed power and it had Surge, that still counts. But if you had to cancel the Treachery outright, then it doesn't count. So that makes sense. Because it's the game state doesn't change. It technically never happened. The Treachery never existed effectively. Fabian Cortez. The Fabian Cortez was when defeated ability puts an acolyte minion with the teamwork keyword into play while Fabian Cortez is the only other acolyte minion in play. Will the teamwork keyword on the other minion trigger? No. Since putting the other minion into play is the last effect of Fabian Cortez's when defeated ability, he is discarded immediately upon the other minion entering play. This means Fabian Cortez is no longer in play when the other minion's teamwork keyword tries to find an acolyte minion in play. Okay. That makes sense. Just nice that they clarified it, I guess. I mean, I think that's the way we've always played it. Dial M for Mojo. If Dial M for Mojo is in play when Spiral flips, does her Insight 1 keyword trigger? Yes. Villains are encounter cards, so Dial M for Mojo gives Insight 1 to Spiral. When Spiral flips, her new face is revealed, meaning her Insight 1 resolves. Okay. I just realized I should probably turn the logo off because that might be covering stuff up. All right. Deadpool Hero Pack. Crisis of Infinite Deadpools. Is Crisis of Infinite Deadpools included in the encounter deck if an ability allows a player to include one or more pool aspect cards from outside of their chosen aspect? No. Crisis of Infinite Deadpools is only included if at least one player in the game chooses the pool aspect as one of their chosen aspects. So I don't think this has ever been in the rule booklet, but there was pretty much when it first came out, because I sometimes put in a cut upper in a Gamora deck and I don't have to put Crisis of Infinite Deadpools because I didn't choose pool as my aspect. So, but if you play Adam Warlock or Spider-Woman, say for example, and it's one of your aspects, then you would add the Crisis of Infinite Deadpools. All right, now here's the new stuff. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Maria. Can I include just one or two shield supports from aspects from other than my chosen aspect for Maria deck? No. Mariel's ability is all or nothing. You must include the maximum number of copies of each of exactly 3 shield supports from aspects other than your chosen aspect, or else you cannot have any shield supports from other aspects in your deck. So, yeah, when I read that originally, that's the way I interpreted it. A lot of people said the may kind of threw it out. So, yeah, it wasn't worded the best. But now at least it's specifically stood out. But I think everybody probably should have known that by now. But now at least it's printed in red. Stealth. When Nick Fury's stealth suit form changes the villain's activation to a scheme, what happens if that villain is confused? The interruptibility of stealth causes the villain activation to reinitiate, this time as a scheme activation, so that the confused status will cancel the activation and Nick Fury does not get to place any threat on a suit form upgrade because the thwart never happened, or the scheme never happened. So, yeah, that makes sense. But, here it is, nice and clear. The elephant's trunk. Can I satisfy the cost of elephant's trunk's action ability if I just exhaust the elephant trunk itself? Yes, the elephant trunk is a Wakanda support, so it satisfies the minimum of 1 Wakanda ally or support needed to pay its ability cost. Target spotter. If I use target spotter on a minion revealed by another player, does that minion ever engage that other player? No. Target spotter interrupts the engagement of that minion and causes it to engage the player using target spotter instead. So that's a really good card for like Thor and Tigra to have it in your deck, and it's a really bad card against Thor and Tigra. Okay, Black Widow hero pack. Black Widow should read Widowmaker response after resolve the ability of a preparation card you control. Deal 1 damage to an enemy. Change trigger to resolve. After you resolve. Oh, okay. Rise of Red Skull. Should read set up, put the red house into play. Shuffle every other encounter side scheme into the side scheme deck and set it next to the encounter deck. See insert. Set the sleeper side out of play. Add an encounter before side scheme. Oh, weird. I wonder if people thought if you play a player side scheme, it gets shuffled into the side scheme deck. Okay. They're specifying that. Okay. That's interesting. I never would have interpreted that way, but it's nice and at least it's clarified. Bitter Rifle should read when revealed for each side scheme in play. Choose and exhaust a character you control. Revise wording to function as intended with updated for each rule. For each side scheme in play. Okay. Wasp Hero Pack Beetle should read force interrupt. When Beetle is defeated, the defeating player chooses to spend a strength resource or shuffle Beetle into the encounter deck. Specifies which player should resolve the ability. All right, so it may not have been clear. I'd have to go back and look at the original card. But, okay, it makes sense. The person who's defeating it needs to do the triggering. Arrows should read response after you play arrows from your hand. For each mental resource you use to pay for him, choose a minion and confuse it. Revise wording to function as intended with updated for each rules. Okay. Morbius should read after the engaged player generates any number of resources, deal an equal amount of damage to that player's hero. Change engaged hero to engaged player and that hero to that player's hero. Okay. Mutants at the Mall should read when defeated, the first player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a Sentinel minion and reveals it. Flip this card and put Jubilee into play, discarding any other ally version of Jubilee from play. Okay, so okay, here's where they're addressing Jubilee specifically then. So, all right, with this ruling, then earlier when I was talking about Wolverine's Jubilee ally, the Wolverine's Jubilee ally would go away because of what it's saying right here. But I mean, I played last time I played Mutants at the Mall. I played it as the Jubilee hero, and obviously you're not getting rid of a player's identity. Oh, wow, there's a lot. Asteroid M should read after you place a magnetic counter on this scheme. If there's at least 3 magnetic counters, remove 3 of them and discard cards from the encounter deck until a magnetic card is discarded. Reveal that card. Magnetic counters are now removed before the magnetic card is revealed. Oh, that's what they were talking about. I always removed the 3 before, but okay, that's good to know. Because some of the magnetic cards say trigger, resolve the, yeah, okay. So maybe there was an endless chain the way it was originally worded. Factory online. After you place a magnetic counter on this scheme, if there's at least 3 magnetic counters here, remove 3 of them and discard cards from the encounter. Okay, this is the same thing again. And same thing with the Rule of Magnus, same thing. Okay. Rogue should read, set up, find your touched upgrade and set it aside. Withdrawn, when you change to this form, find touched and set it aside. Now specifies to find touched and set it aside. Rogue, skin contact, action, find touched and attach it to another character. You gain each of the attached character's traits until the end of the round. Limit once per round. Change attached touch to find touch and attach it. Okay. Energy transfer should read, find touched and attach it to a character other than Rogue and deal 2 damage to that character. Heal 2 damage from Rogue and ready her. You gain each of the attached character's traits until the end of the round. Change attached touch to find touch. Okay, so they're just using the find rule. Mystique's manipulations should read, when defeated, the defeating player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for a copy of Misled, Treachery, and shuffles it into their deck. Specify who should receive the ability. Okay. Holy moly. Age of Apocalypse. Suit up. Should read, alter ego action. Search your deck and discard pile for an ally and upgrade that can be attached to an ally. Add them to your hand. Change can be attached to that. Oh, yeah, that's what they were talking about earlier. So you could bring in an Avenger ally and like a Guardian upgrade if you wanted to. Rogue and Nightcrawler should read, action, deal 1 damage to another friendly character until the end of the round. Rogue gains each of the character's traits and adds the character's base thwart and attack to her matching ability. Limit once. Change printed to base. And adds. Okay. Tweedledope. Remove the star icon from this card. Okay. So we had used it as a boost. So now they're just saying it's nothing. So Tweedledope does nothing apparently as far as a boost goes. So it's like assault in advance. Magneto Hero Pack. Magnetic Missile should read, hero action, discard a minion with wrapped in metal attached, then deal 5 damage to an enemy and stun it. Change cost arrow to then. Depth Focus. Oh, yeah. So, like, should be basic instead of protection. Yeah, mine says protection. Exodus should read, force response. After Exodus attacks you, discard cards from the top of your deck equal to its total attack for that attack. Radiation Exposure. The scheme modifier on this card should be a thwart modifier. Yeah, I think I remember pointing that out. And then Mach 4 should read, each character without the aerial trait cannot defend against Mach 4's attack. Change basic defense. So some people were playing the ally game, I guess, Silk, eidetic memory, should read interrupt. When you reveal a card from the same encounter set as a card tucked under your identity, exhaust eidetic memory, swap those cards, reveal the card that has been tucked under your identity instead. Change Silk to your identity. Okay. Oh, I guess people were thinking in alter ego, she's not Silk, so that wouldn't trigger. That must be okay. Winter Soldier Hero Pack should read attached to a friendly character, max 1 per character. Right, because they forgot to put the max 1 per character, which all of those honoraries now are considered max 1, so you can't do 3 copies of Honorary Avenger on Quicksilver or something. All right, so this is the big one. So we got environments here. I'm not going to read this intro because this is from the article. But so as of right now, the current environment is Marvel Champions, the card game core set only, not like the heroes that came in that wave. So not Black Widow, Captain America, etc. Age of Apocalypse expansion, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. expansion, Civil War expansion, and then the hero packs that came. So that's Iceman through Hercules. So Wonder Man and Hercules, which are coming in February, will count, but they're obviously they're not out yet. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16. We have 21 heroes that are valid because we got 2 from Civil War, 2 from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., 2 from Age of Apocalypse, 5 from the base game, and then those 10, it looks like it's 10 hero packs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, and those 10 hero packs. So, yeah. So that's still quite a few. That's still quite a bit. And as we were mentioning before, this is intended to keep things balanced for new players who may not have everything. Because these are the products that are in print, conveniently enough. Although it doesn't necessarily, I mean, Age of Apocalypse could go out of print and still be in the current environment. Now, for those who saw the PAX Unplugged article, or announcement, next year, 2026, is the Defenders wave. So and they're saying yearly. So I'm thinking that would get tacked on to the current environment, and then come December 2026, probably Age of Apocalypse will fall off, and these 4 hero packs will fall off, and then the current environment will be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Civil War, and the Defender wave. That would be my guess. All products released since the most recent version of this document. Oh yeah, so yeah, here it's talking about that right here. All I do is read the next line. So yeah, they're referring to all the 2026 products, and then when version 1.8 comes out, which I'm guessing would be December of 2026, that's when they can come back and readdress it. Limited environment. A limited environment allows players who own a number of older products to continue to play with those products while still reaping the benefits of playing within a smaller environment. To play in a limited environment, a player customizes their deck using cards from the Marvel Champions, the card game core set, up to 3 campaigns and or custom scenario expansions, up to 10 hero packs. Okay. Custom scenario expansion. Usually don't have any player cards in the custom scenarios, but maybe they're leaving themselves open for doing that, maybe. While an expansion or hero pack may be chosen for a limited environment, and finding creative combinations of products from which to build could be an enjoyable experience for deck building enthusiasts, a number of past Marvel Champions products were developed together in waves as a starting point for creating a limited environment we recommend selecting 3 waves of relative products to explore the synergies between those cards and branching out to other more creative combinations only after growing more familiar with the card pool. The waves released as of this publication of this document are so Captain America through Hulk, which was wave 1, Rise of Red Skull, which is wave 2, Galaxy's Most Wanted in the Hero Packs, which is wave 3, Mad Titan Shadow, which is in the hero packs that came with that, Sinister Motive and the hero packs that came with that, Mutant Genesis and the hero packs that came with that, Next Evolution and the hero packs, of course, Age of Apocalypse with the hero packs, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with those hero packs, and Civil War with including Wonder Man and Hercules. All right. So, yeah. So, and the example in the article was, and I could totally see if you wanted to do like a big X-Men theme as you did Mutant Genesis, Next Evolution, and Age of Apocalypse as a limited pool. And I could see this limited format being for organized events, maybe, especially thematic ones with a theme. This is something that, could show up maybe in Con of Heroes or, and as the time that we've got a couple more Marvel cons now as well. We got MCDC and we also have the new Avenge Assemble that the Brant is doing. So yeah, you can really come up with some thematic sets there. But the current environment, like I said, before when I was answering Robert's question earlier, was I think that's intended to kind of having people not feel left out. And I got to talk to Dirk about it, but I think I'm not going to bring my entire collection to Con of Heroes. I did last year and it was super heavy. What I'm kind of leaning towards is I'm probably going to bring just the current environment and then maybe a few specialty decks for a couple deck ideas, plus whatever the recommended packs that they have when they have that information. And because I'll be able to reasonably have on my suitcase and not have to pay a heavy bag fee. All right. Well, that is it for the article. If anyone wants to continue chatting, I've got a few minutes. I do have to log off here pretty quick, but please feel free to comment in the chat, and we can have a conversation about this. I was really curious about how I saw the Arkham article, so I was kind of curious how this was going to be in Marvel Champions. I think it's alleviated some of my fears because in February they kind of were talking about how they were changing how they were going to change the game, and so I was a little concerned. I know some of these products are just gone. You're not going to find them, or you're paying outrageous prices on eBay. So that's nice for newer players. Of course, some of the cards are getting reprinted, so there's that. There are certain combos that you would not be able to do in current environment, but I think the critical cards are being reprinted because, like, for example, Dirk's Maria Recursion, he loves Command Team, which came originally in War Machine. So, but that card got reprinted in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as part of Maria Hills. So that means that's part of the current environment. So you could use the Command Team cards because it's the exact same card reprinted. I kind of suspect that means we're going to see maybe a bigger percentage of reprints than we saw before. So that is kind of a downside to this because I really like new cards. But as far as our channel goes, I'm going to talk to Dirk about this probably tomorrow when we get together. We are going to probably mostly stick with Legacy, but we will do probably some current environment gameplay as well. Just we don't do a lot of gameplay on the channel, but when we do, we kind of play either the starter decks or tried out the new villains when they first come out. So I could see that we could say, okay, we're going to do a current environment only. That'd be fun to it's actually kind of fun to test the limits on that. I don't know if we do limited per se on the channel, but who knows? Maybe if there's something thematic, like especially if it kind of relates to a movie that comes out, maybe we kind of like, well, after Doomsday and Endgame, they're talking about doing the new X-Men. So who knows? Maybe like when one of those new X-Men movies comes out, we would do an X-Men wave, limited environment decks. So we would grab from Mutant Genesis, Next Evolution, and Age of Apocalypse. And of course, by then, who knows? As far as they also mentioned, they are definitely going to bring some characters back, maybe in a modified format. People have been asking. People have been asking about that, and they haven't addressed it specifically yet. They've talked about it in the Synthesoid SmackDown live play. They mentioned that because some people thought when the Captain America leader, this is the Captain America we are getting. No, apparently at some point we will get another Captain America. Now, whether it's reprinted completely or I would think that it would be modified because if it's just Captain America reprinted card for card, okay, that's great for new players, but existing players don't need to buy it, and there's some heroes that could definitely use some major tweaking. I would like to see some of the new rules that we got now brought into Hulk. Hulk would be like if Hulk came in steady, maybe that would be pretty cool. Maybe not lose the hand at the end of the turn. That would be kind of nice. Have a way to the matter Hulk gets, the stronger he gets. So he can get like some rage tokens or something. Kind of like what Drax has. There's quite a few little tweaks that they can do. So that would be kind of cool. All right. Well, anyways, thank you for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe.